Hello and welcome to KentOnline, live on KMTV. I'm Keelan Webster. Your top stories on Thursday the 6th of December. Must do better. Ofsted demands action to help special needs children in Medway.
It is now just endemic. We have a national crisis.
Beware of the bouncers. Maidstone bringing security guards to tackle rising crime.
They have powers to confiscate drugs, they have powers to check vehicles, so they have a lot of powers within the public protection order.
Festivities on the farm. Rare Breeds Animal Centre gets ready for Christmas.
Each child gets to meet Santa on a one-to-one basis.
And in sport, fans' favourite, Tom Eaves nominated for Player of the Month.
But first, our top story this evening. It's official, Medway is one of the worst areas in the country for special needs provision. In Ofsted's latest findings, the towns were named as one of just 4 local areas in the UK ordered to produce a statement of action outlining how they plan to improve it. Joe Caution's been investigating.
A national scandal. That's how Ofsted have described special educational needs provision across the country. But in the South East, Medway Council has been ordered by inspectors to produce a plan of action to improve on what they've called significant weaknesses. So should parents be concerned?
I mean, it's always a double-edged sword in a way, really, because obviously we have raised some issues that need attention. Also, the fact that we have raised them, it's in the public domain, so people can have some reassurance then that we will be talking to the local authority, bearing in mind this isn't just about the local authority, but we'll be particularly talking about the local authority within our functions, and we'll be going back to check on it. And of course, people can be reassured that those things do ensure that things are put right there.
Now, Ofsted's demand from Medway for a written statement of action doesn't mean that they're failing as an area. But what it does mean in this 11-page document, it highlights key weaknesses and areas where they need to improve.
For example, Medway's approach to identifying children with autism does not meet national requirements, criticising waiting times of up to 9 months. And inspectors also highlighted that although leaders have rightly recognised the importance of increasing the volume of suitable local provision, there's no clear and successful plan in place.
It is now just endemic. We have a national crisis. We see what happens in Medway. I know, my professional colleagues know that is a situation across Kent. And so therefore we are literally back to pushing square pegs through round holes. We are asking children with additional needs to put up with and accept a mainstream model, and that is no good for their learning.
In response, Councillor Andrew McNess, portfolio holder for Children's Services, said they have a responsibility for all young people in Medway and consistently raise the issues of standards in the relevant schools. And the support they offer is clearly demonstrating improvements and success for pupils, given the results they're achieving. Surprisingly though, Medway's SEN schools were all rated good or outstanding at their last inspection, compared to 90% of special schools in the rest of Kent. So despite glowing reviews then, if Ofsted say Medway needs to do more in the coming month with SEN inspections across the rest of Kent imminent, that could soon paint a very similar picture. Joe Caution for KMTV.
Meanwhile, nearly 1 in every 4 reception-aged children are considered overweight or obese. That's according to new statistics from Medway Council's latest monitoring report, which shows that 23.4% of children aged between 4 and 5 had excess weight in 2017-18. But what do you think causes obesity in young children? We asked shoppers in Rochester.
It's easy for children to buy fast food and sweets and everything really, so yeah, definitely too much on the high street for them to tempt them.
I think kids don't get enough motivation to do sports anymore as what they used to.
Most of it's down to the society we live in and how it's managed by the parents and the parents' attitudes towards things. I know schools are getting involved in trying to reduce obesity in children and starting to monitor height and weight through BMI. It's a bit futile. I don't think that's really the answer. I think we need to go a bit further back before we get to that point.
You see kids from school going into the local corner shop getting a load of junk, or like break time and that, when teenage kids can come out and go and get lunch, and they just not eating healthily.
If you've got working parents, convenience foods makes it so much easier. And children nowadays say what they want to eat rather than the parents saying this is what we're having. So, and parents worry if their children don't eat, so they'd rather they have something that they like to see their children eating.
Fruit and veg and things like that are actually more expensive than the unhealthy food.
Shoppers in Rochester there, but what do you think? What are the main causes for obesity in the county? Let us know using the hashtag KentSays. Dramatic footage has emerged of police raids in Ashford and Gillingham. The early morning operations took place due to an investigation into money laundering. Our reporter Christina Curtis has more information on this story for us now. Christina, what else can you tell us about this?
So the video shows the moment police raided a home in Kent using a circular saw to force their way in as part of a money laundering investigation. Now this footage was taken in Ashford this morning at around 6 a.m. On the Repton Park North estate. The raid was part of a bigger operation which was a Kent-led investigation and saw homes in Ashford, Gillingham as well as other places in the country such as Hampshire and West Yorkshire searched. So far 10 men have been arrested. Police found a large quantity of cash and suspected fake passports. 9 of those men were arrested on suspicion of money laundering, whereas another man was arrested on suspicion of possession of Class A drugs. Now, all men remain in police custody as the investigation takes place.
Yeah, really dramatic footage. Christina, thank you very much indeed. Now, fed up business owners in Maidstone have come up with a radical plan to fight crime. From this month, bouncers known as street ambassadors will patrol the town centre. The scheme, run by One Maidstone, aims to reduce street drinking and shoplifting, but critics are unsure about what impact they'll have. Harry Pete's been to the county town to find out.
It's Christmas season in Maidstone town centre. There's big discounts, big lights and big decorations. So whilst the Christmas lights and the general glitz and glamour of the festive period here in Maidstone brighten up the town, a darker side for this time of year also comes with it too, including street drinking, antisocial behaviour and shoplifting. So to tackle these issues, businesses part of the One Maidstone group have hired what they're calling street ambassadors to patrol the town centre and cut down on the crime.
We've had a few challenges as it's getting busier towards Christmas now. Things like shoplifting is going to be a bit more high, but with me and my colleague going around to the other security guards and talking to them and helping them out, we've got PCSOs on board as long as the police as well, so they're also helping.
The team aren't just around for the holidays though, they'll be a permanent fixture every day of the week, carrying out a host of roles.
Obviously going and talking to the other guards in the other stores, letting them know that we are here to help. Trying to get things like drugs and drink off the street. Obviously there's a red zone, but these places can't be done in town. So trying to help the homeless, trying to give them a bit more information of where they need to be, where they can go and where they can get hot food. Just trying to make it a better and safer place.
They've been criticised by members of the public though, with many asking how effective they'll actually be, given that they don't have many powers, and incidents are likely to still end up being dealt with by the police. So what can they actually do?
They do have powers. They have CSAS accreditation, so they have powers to confiscate alcohol. They have powers to take your name and address. They have powers to confiscate drugs. They have powers to check vehicles. So they have a lot of powers within the public protection order. You know, it's a presence, it's a deterrent. It helps it helps customers feel safe in a safe environment, and also when there are incidents, they are usually the first to respond on the scene to any shoplifting incidents in the premises.
The project's part of a bigger multi-million-pound scheme by One Maidstone to keep the town centre as attractive as possible, and they'll be hoping that this first one will be a good ambassador for what else they can bring in the future. Harry Pete for KMTV.
Kent residents who are on O2 have been having major issues with their phones today. The network has been hit with problems which affect the internet, texting and calling. Around 32 million people in the UK are thought to be affected, including those on Sky, Tesco, Leica Mobile and GiftGaff. To talk a bit more about this, I'm joined by our reporter Poppy Jeffrey. Poppy, I've been suffering as one of those 32 million that's been struggling without the 4G or 3G today. It has been frustrating, hasn't it?
Well, I'm quite smug. I'm not myself on O2, so not been an issue for me, but for the people who are on that network, it has been an absolute nightmare. Lots of phones displaying emergency calls only, not able to use data either, so they can't access the internet. Other users have reported issues with calling and texting, as I've already mentioned, but just because the network is so gummed up with people trying to get through as well. I mean, it is also really unusual to be off this long without it being fixed. People reported it first thing this morning, and it's still, 5:30, and it's still not fixed. So for people going about their day-to-day life, it has been a bit of a nightmare as well. But the company has blamed software issues for the problem and one of its suppliers, but has expressed its apologies and said it is working as hard as it can to fix the issue. So hopefully we should be having some resolution pretty shortly.
Absolutely. Hopefully it is going to resolve in a couple of moments. But Poppy, thanks very much indeed. Coming up, we've been down to a train depot in Ramsgate to see the thousands of South Eastern are spending to brave the harsh winter months ahead. We'll see you shortly.
It's around about 6 to 8 hours per unit to prepare. So if you multiply that out by 390 trains, that soon adds up to in the region of 3,200 man-hours.
Welcome back to KentOnline live on KMTV. The jury in the election expenses trial of Kent MP Craig McKinley has continued to consider their verdict today. The South Thanet MP, as well as election agent Nathan Gray and campaigner Marion Little, denied charges that election expenses returns were falsified. With the latest on the trial, our political editor Paul Francis is at Southwark Crown Court for us now. Paul, more than 7 weeks this trial has been going on for. Are we any closer to getting a verdict?
Well, the simple answer to that is we don't know, because we're in the hands of the jury, who, as you say, were sent out yesterday to begin their deliberations and have continued with that today and are back in tomorrow to further their discussions.
Well, perhaps a verdict coming in the next few days. Elsewhere, of course, Brexit still very much the hot topic at the moment. This evening, a report from Kent County Council suggesting that Kent's roads could be gridlocked.
Well, this, in a sense, is not anything new in relation to the transport issues that we've heard so much about. But this is a report which sets out in some detail the possible consequences of a no-deal Brexit scenario on frontline services, something that we've not heard so much about. So the report is flagging up issues around the difficulties that children might have getting to school to take important exams, the possibility that traffic congestion will mean that rubbish can't be collected and transferred to waste stations, and perhaps very importantly, the difficulties that social workers may find in travelling to their clients to give them the services that they need. And there's even a suggestion in this report that Kent County Council staff may work from home for anything between 3 and 6 months. So this is a very interesting report with some of the consequences that might come.
And of course, these reports all coming out ahead of next week's crucial vote. A lot of Kent MPs have said which way they're going to go. Tom Tugendhat has been indifferent in his opinions, but he's finally said today that he will back the deal, but only with a heavy heart. What do you make of that?
Well, I think this is what a lot of MPs feel. This is the least worst option for MPs, and they're being loyal to the Prime Minister.
Of course, we'll have all the coverage of that vote next week. Paul, thanks very much indeed. South Eastern say they will spend more than £100,000 to prepare their trains ahead of the winter period. They'll take trains to their 4 depots across the county and top them up with sand, anti-icing and treat the doors as well. Phil Welbrook went down to a depot to see the process.
This depot in Ramsgate is just one of a few in the county which will be housing trains ready to be winterproofed and then sent back out to face the often harsh conditions. The process is one that is costing South Eastern around £100,000 a year. Being here now on an empty train, you might think this is something of a commuter's dream. Well, don't be fooled into thinking that just because this is empty and stagnant, that works aren't in full flow to bring the train ready for the harsh winter months ahead. Staff usually work a couple seasons ahead, so winter work would have began a few months back, and the process now is just in keeping them at the level they need to be to operate in icy, rainy and cold conditions. Some of the things on the South Eastern checklist to keep their trains in good working order are making sure their sandhopper is fully working, which keeps the train gripped to the tracks to help in icy conditions, making sure the heating in the train driver's room is fully working. The train won't leave the station without this. Keeping the anti-ice topped up, which unlike de-icer, prevents ice from forming on the tracks rather than removing it. And the rubber on the doors needs greasing to prevent them drying out and cracking in the cold weather.
So on the South East network we operate on the mainline fleet 149 trains. 149 trains require quite a heavy amount of work and maintenance. In terms of autumn and winter prep, the trains have to come back to depot every 3 to 4 days. Undertaking that in a complex network such as ourselves is quite challenging, and our engineers work around the clock 364 days a year, 24 hours a day, undertaking servicing activities across the rolling stock.
Even on Christmas Eve, there'll be an expected 73 engineering staff on duty up until midnight. So, a lot of manpower and a lot of money spent on the whole process. But how much exactly?
It's in a region of about £100,000 for the sanding season just to carry out the replenishment. The actual preparation of the campaign work is done in-house by our engineers, and it's around about 6 to 8 hours per unit to prepare. So if you multiply that out by 390 trains, that soon adds up to in the region of 3,200 man-hours. That's a considerable amount of time and hence money that we're investing in making sure these trains are fit and ready for the autumn season.
So as we move into a cold December, with even the prospect of a white Christmas, South Eastern are hoping that they can brave the tough weather and get you where you need to be. This is Phil Welbrook for KMTV in Ramsgate.
Next tonight, Kent sports fans will be seeing fewer betting adverts on their screens after the country's biggest gambling companies agreed to stop showing the ads during live sports broadcasts. The ban will include any events that starts prior to the 9 p.m. watershed but ends after that time. Medway Labour leader Vince Maypole campaigned to reduce the minimum stake on fixed odds betting terminals earlier this year and joins me now. Vince, thanks ever so much for joining us. What do you make of this news? Is this going to be enough to ban the adverts?
Well, I think this is a very positive step, and I know our party deputy leader Tom Watson has been leading the call for this nationally. People, particularly over the World Cup, were complaining to me on a regular basis, saying actually it feels like we're seeing more football ads than football when it comes to the issue of gambling. So the fact that the industry have stepped up and recognised this is an issue and recognised actually this is not appropriate to be happening is a positive thing. And as I've always said on here, look, I'm not anti-gambling, but I am anti-problem gambling, and in particular it's the impact that those live adverts can have on young people. And we've seen some reports over the last few months saying actually in some cases 1 in 8 young people are certainly getting more involved in gambling before the age of 18, which is very worrying.
And of course, we see these all the time during half-time, before the match. It always pops up who's going to be the first goal scorer and all that kind of stuff. How much of an influence do those adverts actually have?
Well, certainly people have shared with me online, on Twitter and elsewhere, the fact that young people now see knowing the odds of, who's going to get the first corner as part of the kind of language of football in particular. And it's not just football, but I'd say that is certainly the sport where this is most influential. So look, I welcome today's decision by the gambling industry to take a bit of responsibility. It's not the only issue. Certainly a couple of months back we saw a number of Premier League football teams with their youth pages on their websites with links to gambling websites as well. So there's still more work to be done. I also think there's a big question mark around shirt sponsorship, but this is a positive step, and it kind of follows on from the issues as we've spoken about before around fixed odds betting terminals. Again, the gambling industry needs to act responsibly, and today's decision is a positive step in the right direction.
You mentioned that more still needs to be done, but is this an example that they are starting to take it a bit more seriously now?
Well, I think so, and not least because actually the public at large will be saying to them as an industry, this is not acceptable. Again, most people will say actually they're not anti-gambling, but they are anti the kind of full-on effect that these adverts have. I'm fed up of seeing, frankly, Ray Winston's face coming at me when I'm trying to watch a game of football. And actually, it's the impact, again, particularly on young people. And again, the fact that this is, even for games which are perhaps finishing after the watershed but starting before then, that is a good thing. And I want to see that come in, immediately, effectively.
Well, good news is there'll be far less Ray when you're watching the next football match. Vince, thanks ever so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Now with news from Gillingham's press conference today, here's Joe with the sports.
First up in sport this evening, Steve Lovell's senior side are looking forward to hosting their FA Cup tie against Premier League opposition. Gillingham made it through to the third round for the first time in 7 seasons, beating Slough Town at the weekend. And the Welsh boss admits he's relishing the chance to take on Cardiff City at Priestfield next month.
It'll be a great day and a great to be in the FA Cup in the third round, and with an opportunity of obviously going further. So be tough, obviously, without it's obvious to say, isn't it? You're playing against a Premier League club, but we'll enjoy it and we'll prepare as normal and give it our best shot. And we'll be the underdog, so there'll be no pressure on us, and we can go out and enjoy the occasion and perform and hopefully get something out of it.
Cricket now, and Kent head coach Matt Walker says he expects to struggle to sign any top overseas players next season. The Spitfires boss blames the Cricket World Cup for potential recruitment problems for the 2019 campaign. The Games start on May the 30th in England next year, all the way until the final on July the 14th. And with top international players expected to be unavailable for the first half of the season, 18 counties will have to scrap for those not involved in the competition. You're up to date on sport. I'll be back with more later on in the programme. See you then.
It'll stay mild for this time of year this evening with highs of 13. There will be a few drops of rain though. It's set to be a bit of a mixed bag tomorrow with sun and rain expected across the county. It should have cleared up by the afternoon with temperatures hitting double figures. The weekend doesn't look too bad either with only a little bit of rain. It will start to get a little colder though as we head towards next week. Coming up after the break, golden goats, massive cows and cute rabbits. What a recipe for the festive season. We visit rare breeds in a few moments' time.
We do Santa here very differently. We take you into our lovely grotto as a group, and Santa and his friends put on a little show for a little while, and then each child gets to meet Santa on a one-to-one basis.
Hello and welcome to KentOnline, live on KMTV. I'm Keelan Webster. Your top stories on Thursday the 6th of December. Must do better. Ofsted demands action to help special needs children in Medway.
It is now just endemic. We have a national crisis.
Beware of the bouncers. Maidstone bringing security guards to tackle rising crime.
They have powers to confiscate drugs, they have powers to check vehicles, so they have a lot of powers within the public protection order.
Festivities on the farm. Rare Breeds Animal Centre gets ready for Christmas.
Each child gets to meet Santa on a one-to-one basis.
And in sport, Blair's going nowhere. Stone striker commits future to the club.
A reminder of our top story this evening. It's official, Medway is one of the worst areas in the country for special needs provision. In Ofsted's latest findings, the towns were named as one of just 4 local areas in the UK ordered to produce a statement of action outlining how they plan to improve it. Joe Caution's been investigating.
A national scandal. That's how Ofsted have described special educational needs provision across the country. But in the South East, Medway Council has been ordered by inspectors to produce a plan of action to improve on what they've called significant weaknesses. So should parents be concerned?
People can have some reassurance then that we will be talking to the local authority, bearing in mind this isn't just about the local authority, but we'll be particularly talking about the local authority within our functions, and we'll be going back to check on it. And of course, people can be reassured that those things do ensure that things are put right there.
Now, Ofsted's demand from Medway for a written statement of action doesn't mean that they're failing as an area. But what it does mean in this 11-page document, it highlights key weaknesses and areas where they need to improve. For example, Medway's approach to identifying children with autism does not meet national requirements, criticising waiting times of up to 9 months.
It is now just endemic. We have a national crisis. We see what happens in Medway. I know, my professional colleagues know that is a situation across Kent. And so therefore we are literally back to pushing square pegs through round holes. We are asking children with additional needs to put up with and accept a mainstream model, and that is no good for their learning.
In response, Councillor Andrew McNess, portfolio holder for Children's Services, said they have a responsibility for all young people in Medway and consistently raise the issues of standards in the relevant schools. And the support they offer is clearly demonstrating improvements and success for pupils, given the results they're achieving. Surprisingly though, Medway's SEN schools were all rated good or outstanding at their last inspection, compared to 90% of special schools in the rest of Kent. So despite glowing reviews then, if Ofsted say Medway needs to do more in the coming month with SEN inspections across the rest of Kent imminent, that could soon paint a very similar picture. Joe Caution for KMTV.
Meanwhile, nearly 1 in every 4 reception-aged children are classed as overweight or obese in Medway. That's according to new statistics from Medway Council's latest monitoring report, which shows there has been an increase in the number of children aged between 4 and 5 with excess weight, rising from 22.6% in 2016-17 to 23.4% in 2017-18. But what do you think can be done to solve this problem? We are shoppers in Rochester.
I would like to see in schools, as children aren't walking as much, I'd like to see an exercise programme to start the day. I think that would help with their well-being and their health all over. And good for the staff as well, good morale.
More sports groups and activities for after schools and things like that, after school clubs and stuff.
Yeah, and I think like nowadays where everything costs so much money, not many people can afford it to do things like that.
Education is the answer, but I don't think it's through the schools. It just needs to become as part of our culture. It's a culture change rather than a lesson in life.
I think parents have a lot, to play in the part. I'm a parent myself, so you just have to sort of instill the values of healthy eating and, sitting down to dinner at night time so that they don't just come in and grab something or go to the local sort of KFC or McDonald's or whatever. So yeah, I think it's a worldwide thing that you have to just sort of re-educate everyone really, parents and children.
Probably teaching children how to cook at school so they know how to cook healthy meals and how to make the most out of food, like using leftovers and stuff like that for like the economy, like, you know, the money side of things.
Shoppers in Rochester there, but what's your opinion? How can we solve the obesity crisis in Medway? Let us know using the hashtag KentSays on social media. A lorry burst into flames on the M2 this afternoon. The vehicle was on the London-bound side just after Bluebell Hill before the Medway Bridge. Flames could be seen engulfing the driver's cabin. Emergency services are at the scene and traffic delays are expected in the area with one lane closed. The condition of the driver is not yet known. Don't forget you can keep up to date on all things going on in Kent by visiting our website kmtv.co.uk. You can check out some of our latest stories from across the county, like this video about a financial boost for an historic Ramsgate attraction. For more than a century, Ramsgate's rock gardens have proudly stood as one of the town's biggest attractions. Commencing in 1894, Father Time is starting to make its mark on the grand old monument. To help conserve this historic rock, the government have pledged £50,000 to Ramsgate as part of their plan to save so-called left-behind coastal communities.
I think they're intrinsic to the flavour of the town. They've been here, over 100 years. Probably one of the most iconic views of Ramsgate, other than the Royal Harbour, is the waterfall behind me and these Pullomite gardens.
So what exactly is Pullomite? Invented by James Pullman back in the 1800s, it's a type of artificial rock that's deemed so realistic it even fooled some geologists at the time of invention. While some might marvel at the history, others might retort that it is just simply a rock. Could Ramsgate not benefit from a £50,000 investment elsewhere?
We need to enhance our leisure and tourism offering, because that's our specific speciality, if you like, and this is just a key part of it. And also, it's, well, what an amazing attraction, and lit up at night, it draws people from miles away.
And part of the main reason the rock gardens need the money is the damage, the wear and tear, which is now affecting the Pullomite.
Here's a prime example of the need for maintenance and restoration, in that what's happened here is historically you can see the remnants of the root there that's actually caused the Pullomite to break apart. Now, obviously, the cable's there for safety. It can't be left like that ad hoc and forever and a day, so it is vital, and I believe this is why Heritage England have said, or Historic England, have actually designated this installation as at risk and in urgent need of attention.
Despite the cash boost, it's expected the £50,000 will only cover a study to see what needs to be done. Some believe it could actually cost in excess of £200,000 for repairs to be carried out. So will the money make a significant difference and help the gardens become Ramsgate's tourism rock? Keelan Webster, KMTV. Next tonight, the animals are ready for Christmas at Kent's Rare Breed Centre. The farm's been decorated for Christmas with a Santa's grotto built in the cattle shed and extended opening hours for people to meet the animals. Christina Curtis has been to have a look.
You might not consider visiting a farm this Christmas, but the Rare Breed Centre in Whitchurch have plenty of activities on throughout the festive season, with lots of animals to meet, including Hazel here.
The Rare Breeds is a charity that provides residential care for adults with learning difficulties. Its main attraction is a farm which has a whole range of animals, including some rare breeds.
Mainly the pigs, the rare side, and one of the sheep, the Lincoln Longwools, are one of the rarest ones we've got on the sheep side. We have 3 golden Guernseys, Charlie, Marley and Georgie.
And now, just in time for Christmas, the animals are available to meet all year.
We've just upped the offer on Meet the Animals. We're doing it right the way through now, like we did in the summer, so they can still come in and touch the animals. We have the indoor soft play, the creepy crawly world, and a few little other bits inside as well, to hopefully people will still come and see us.
But the animals aren't the only attraction this Christmas. Once again, they've transformed their cattle shed into a magical Santa's grotto.
Hello, come on
very proud of our grotto, as you can see. We do Santa here very differently. We take you into our lovely grotto as a group, and Santa and his friends put on a little show for a little while, and then each child gets to meet Santa on a one-to-one basis. There's a professional photographer, and then they all get a very special gift from the big man.
Other activities being held this Christmas include a pantomime, which is Aladdin, a decorating workshop and storytelling sessions. The grotto runs each weekend until Christmas, as well as some weekdays closer to the big day. Each ticket also includes meeting the animals. But as Santa's time is precious, a ticket for a child over 3 will set you back £20. But everyone at the Redberries is hoping people make the trip to one of Kent's most prestigious animal centres to experience their hard work over the festive season. Christina Curtis for KMTV.
Still to come, Joe will be back with the sport, including some good news for Maidstone United fans, and we'll give you a taste of what you can expect on this week's edition of Based in Kent. Tonight, Poppy Jeffrey is joined by Tunbridge Wells performer Stephen James. We'll be back in a few minutes' time. Welcome back to KentOnline live on KMTV on Thursday the 6th of December. In case you missed it, children with special needs let down in Medway. Ofsted demands action.
We are asking children with additional needs to put up with and accept a mainstream model, and that is no good for their learning.
Shoplifters beware. Maidstone bring in bouncers to tackle crime.
We've got PCSOs on balls, as long as police as well, so they're also helping.
Mooey Christmas on the farm. Rare Breeds Animal Centre gets ready for festivities.
We've just upped the offer on Meet the Animals. We're doing it right the way through now, like we did in the summer.
And in sport, Cardiff Cup fever. Gillingham boss Steve Lovell reacts to crunch FA Cup tie.
Time now for your pick of the papers with a look at what's making the news in print, online and radio across Kent. Earlier on today, I spoke to KMTV's Joe Dawson, who started off by telling me about extreme precautions being taken place by one school in the county.
So the first story we have is the news that Kent schools have started practising drills for terrorist incidences. Sissinghurst C of E Primary School is one of the schools to put in place procedures after measures were sought out by Kent County Council. Similar to fire drills, children would be alerted to the incident and asked to hide under desks, lock the doors and keep the blinds shut. Now, this is meant to tackle all sorts of incidences, from chemical leaks to strangers entering the school. Head teacher Kathy Penfoldker said that you hear about these things all the time on the news and the chances of something happening are so slim, but you never want to be caught out. There's no legal requirement as of yet to practice these responses, but schools in the area have requested to local authorities to make these a bigger part of the schooling system.
Yeah, quite incredible story there. It'll be really interesting to see if other schools in Kent are carrying out these processes. Finally, moving towards Christmas, of course, what can people get up to this weekend in the county?
Yeah, so we've got a number of things that people can get up to this weekend in and all around Kent. First of all, you've got the Wartime Christmas Experience in Gillingham on the 8th and 9th of this weekend. It's featuring 1940s entertainment, market stalls themed around the area, and singing from various carolers. You've also got Rochester's Christmas Market, of course, which is back this year, and it's celebrating its end this Sunday. Among the usual stalls, you can experience a Bavarian food village, so something to see there. Finally, Kent Life will be holding a live nativity this weekend as well, teaming up with Maidstone Family Church, featuring real farmyard animals, so something for everyone there.
Absolutely, plenty of opportunities to get festive in the county. Joe, thanks very much indeed.
Thank you.
Reminder, you can watch KentOnline live and on catch up at our website kmtv.co.uk. You can stay up to date with all the news, sport and weather from right across Kent whenever and wherever you are. You'll find breaking news, local features and repeats of our special programmes. With news of a Gillingham striker nominated for an award and another one committing his future to Maidstone. Here's Joe with the sports. Firstly, Joe, some very good news for Maidstone fans.
Very good news in their survival battle. Blair Turgott on screen there, the star striker. He scored 14 goals this season. He's told boss Harry Wheeler he is committing his future to the club for this season, and just for that season for now. Now, Maidstone sit 22nd in the National League, 2 points off safety. There were fears the front man may have played his last game for the Stones after being ruled out through injury for 6 weeks. Got injured in that game against Eastleigh, but he's already said he will stay at Maidstone for the time being. He's obviously drawn attention from a lot of Football League clubs, and with that January transfer window imminent, that could have been a fear for boss Harry Wheeler. But Blair is going nowhere. Meanwhile, another Kent striker in flying form this season is Gillingham striker Tom Eaves. The number 9 is a joint top scorer in League One with 12 goals already this term, and he's now been nominated for the PFA Fans Player of the Month, a feat he says he's honoured to receive.
It's nice to get a bit of recognition for what you do, and I think, yeah, my missus told me yesterday I was up for this, so yeah, it's a nice little surprise. I like to carry that on. I think hopefully get a few more goals in this period, and yeah, just keep the pressure on the top goal scorers, and that's just my job. What I need to do, I need to score goals for the team, and if I'm doing that, then I feel like I'm helping the team as well. So.
It'll stay mild for this time of year this evening with highs of 13 degrees. There will be a few drops of rain though. It's set to be a bit of a mixed bag tomorrow with sun and rain expected across the county. It should have cleared up by the afternoon with temperatures hitting double figures. The weekend doesn't look too bad either, with only a little bit of rain in the county. It will start to get a bit colder as we head towards next week though. Don't forget, we've got our music show based in Kent tonight from 9:15. Poppy Jeffrey was joined by Stephen James, a singer-songwriter who's performing in Tunbridge Wells at the weekend. You can watch the full programme, as I say, at 9:15 this evening, but before that, here's a look at what you can expect.
And are you on all kind of social media for people to have a listen to your music? Are there things people can buy as well?
Yeah, you can buy it somewhere. You can buy it. A Day Is Done. That was the title track of the last. You can buy that on iTunes, and that's on Spotify. I mean, who's going to buy it when you can listen to it on Spotify? But yeah, so that's on there. I go on Instagram, and that's the one you can sort of share on the other two, isn't it? Without having to go on the other two horrible ones. So yeah, that's where you find me out. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And what do you like so much about playing live?
It's just all I've ever wanted to do, really. I don't know. That just feels right.
It feels right.
Yeah.
So has music always been like a big part of your life then?
Yeah. Ever since I got a guitar when I was 10 and a half, which was X amount of years ago, and yeah, that's all I wanted to do. Really. I love it. So.
Oh, amazing. And are your family and friends supportive?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're nice. Very nice about it.
That was really good.
Yeah.
Really, I mean, I find like speaking to people that playing to family and friends is always the hardest crowd.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice to try out new songs. I've got my family and friends are all really honest, so they'll be quite quick to tell me if they don't like a song.
That's really helpful.
It is.
You can be too nice.
So there's a lot of songs
business.
that will never get aired on KMTV.
So talking of songs, what's your next song you'll be playing for us? Tell us a bit about it.
This is called People Talk. This is the title track of the next CD that's coming out, and yeah, this is it.
Brilliant. Well,
thanks.
Take it away. It's great.
People talk, they're undecided, and all the questions stay the same. They seem so sure, become divided. They keep piling all the reasons we should change. Forget about the war, forget about the shame, forget about the echoes in the nights that fade. Forget about the answer, it's a gift you can't exchange. But you can watch the game unfold if you pretend to play. When people talk, when people talk, people lie, you can't fully trust them, always acting like they care. Break my silence, though it seems rushed here, makes it easier to bear. Forget about the war, forget about the shame, forget about the echoes in those summer nights that fade. Forget about that time, forget about that day, 'cause you can watch the game unfold if you pretend to play. Let me watch the game unfold as I pretend to play. God, what is this at my fingertips? I can hear the trouble as it passes out their lips. Who will throw the final blow, shut them up for good? I believe that we could lose lose the anger if we forget about the war. Forget about the shame. Forget about the echoes in those summer nights that fade. Forget about the answer. It's a gift you can't exchange. I can watch the game unfold as I pretend to play. Or let me watch the game unfold as I pretend to play. Or let me watch the game unfold as I pretend to play. Let me watch the game unfold as I pretend to play. Let me watch the game unfold as I pretend to play.